Hi, and welcome to the personal side of business, where every business has a story. Today, I'd like to welcome Johnathan King, co founder of Empower Pathways here in San Diego, which is an adult day program assisting young adults with disabilities. Welcome, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, tell me, how did we get here?
Yeah, great question. I think about it all the time. I don't know how I got here, but born and raised in San Diego, California. Grew up in the South Bay. Went to college, played college football at Azusa Pacific University. Had no idea that I was going to kind of get into this field. My dad was a teacher, and so growing up, I always saw the passion that he had for his students. And so when I graduated, I kind of saw what he was doing, and I said, "You know what, Dad? You look happy. I want to kind of get into that."
Yeah.
And so I said it. I started subbing. I got into it. I started teaching physical education. And once I started working with this population of individuals with disabilities with unified sports and Special Olympics, I saw how special kind of this
Yeah.
population was. And I said, you know what? How can I get involved in something like this outside of the high school area? And so that's when I kind of dove in and started this company.
Did your dad have anything to do with this side of like helping people or students at all?
Yeah, so he was a vision behind this whole
Oh,
company. He was out in the community and he was seeing a lot of these programs and he was hearing from a lot of people out there that said, "You know what, we need more program. There's a wait list for a lot of these programs. There's a lot of demand." And he says, "You know what, Jonathan, you can make an impact here." Because my whole life I wanted to somehow make an impact.
yeah.
And I said, "You know what, Dad, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. If you're telling me the demand's out there
Yeah.
and I can truly change lives and you believe in me, I'm gonna go out and do it." And so
That's
that's what happened.
amazing. What were your first steps after he gave you that inspiration? What were your first steps getting into that?
Yeah, so I think it was last June, I decided to quit teaching. And I was
Uh,
teaching for about 6 years. And I got in touch with the regional center. And I said, "What are the steps for me to go ahead and start this company through the San Diego Regional Center?" And they said, "You know what? You're going to have to go ahead and create a program design, figure out what exactly is your company about. And that's to get cleared through the state." So it takes many, many months to get cleared. And so it got sent back a couple times. And they said, "You know what? You need to modify this, change this." And so I was able to finally get approved, and through that, they said, "All right, well, you're good to go." And I think it was November. This November was where we officially launched that program. It was my first client. Yeah.
did you have any assistance or guidance while you were doing that, putting that program together?
Yeah. So I visited one program in San Clemente. I went up there and talked to the owner, and he was able to kind of give me some details. I was doing a lot of research, kind of figuring out what exactly can be like, how can I grow this company, but also give back to this community. So I contacted another program director, and she was able to give me some great advice as far as this is what you should be expecting. Because really, as an entrepreneur, and a lot of entrepreneurs can speak to this, right? Sometimes you have no idea what you're doing. You know you have a passion for it. You know you want to make a difference, and sometimes you just got to hop in. And so for me, I learned as I went on. So I asked questions. I was calling the regional center all the time, saying, "How do I do this? How do I do that?" And they were great, responding to me, giving me all the advice that I needed.
So that does that regional center become the core funding for what you do, and then how does that relate to the families?
Yeah, great question. So there's a transition program at the high school. And at 21, 22, they have to transition out, right? The district says, you no longer can be part of the district. And so that's when they begin to start looking for different programs, adult day programs. And from there, they reach out to the regional center. They physically have to go out and reach out and say, "You know what, I have my child. I would like to them to be part of some type of program specific to those child's needs." Once they do so, the regional center then kind of looks at what are those needs for that child. And then they, as a partnership, they determine which programs are going to best fit these students or kids. And then they reach out to us. And so the regional centers, one, the main funding for them, so they don't have to pay out of pocket at all.
Wow.
But two, they do all the legwork as far as connecting the client to our program.
Do families that come through under 21 already know about what to do next, or is it harder for them to, or is it, I wouldn't say harder, it's lost for them to try to figure out what the next step is?
Yeah, so I've heard both from parents. I mean, parents that are really like engaged, they're going to these resource fairs all the time. I've been a part of three already with the district, where families are showing up and they're seeing all the different programs that are out there while they're in these programs. I mean, at the school level. So that's one. Some have no idea, right? Some programs, maybe the teachers haven't let the parents know,
Yeah.
get started early. I've had parents reach out and say, "Jonathan, how soon should I reach out? I mean, my kid's still in the transition
Yeah.
program. Should we reach out 6 months, a year ahead of time so it's a smooth transition?" I always recommend parents, you know what, a year's fine. Get ahead, figure out what program you want them to be in, and then reach out about 6 months prior to the regional center. So it's a smooth transition.
So you don't really help on that front end. It's their relationship with the regional center, and then you're on the sense on the receiving end. Once they get through everything, they come to you, or do you assist at all?
So I can at times kind of speed up the
Mhm.
process because I built those relationships
Uh,
with the regional center. So I tell parents sometimes if you're not able to get to the whole regional center because they are busy, I have my connections that I can, kind of make a phone call, send an email, and get you connected sooner than later. Because it is a long process to get them. You have to have your initial IPP meeting to set up what are those necessary needs, and then find a program that's going to best fit those needs. Then you have an orientational meeting. So it does take quite a while. I would say maybe sometimes up to a month to 2 months,
Okay.
depending on the situation.
How does that change for a family once they're in the program? They can get someone to take them out to. I think you said you were at the ball game today,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, it could tremendously kind of change the client's life. I mean, our day to day, what it looks like is this: we're Monday through Friday from 9 to 2 o'clock. And what we do is we offer transportation, so pick up and drop off from the home. Some programs do the public transportation system. We like to pick them up so they're with us. And what the day looks like is, like you said, we took them to the Padre game today. They loved it. They absolutely couldn't believe it. A lot of them never been to a Padre game. We go to SeaWorld. We go to Balboa Park on Tuesdays because it's free at the museums. We do arts and crafts. We have Zumba class. And what's great about like our company is that we focus on our clients' interests. What exactly do you like? And for instance, one example, one of our clients loves cars, specifically Lambos. So, on his birthday, I had a buddy of mine had a Lamborghini, and we were able to get him a ride on his birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, Shopping SC Houses, shout out to them. They were able to get him a ride in that car, and so it changed his life. The mom said he came home and he could not stop smiling.
Wow. What's what's been your most inspirational or moving instance since you've had this business?
Oh yeah, there's so many, but one in particular, if I were to talk about one, is one of our clients. He has cerebral palsy, and he's in a motorized wheelchair. And basically, yeah, I don't know. It had been probably 2 months. We were looking for a job for him, and you could probably imagine it's probably fairly difficult to find him a job, and it would be his first position, right? And so we're shopping around. He was probably in. We got him 3 interviews, which was great. We were so excited, and so finally one day, SeaWorld, we applied for SeaWorld, and they reached out, and it was a guest arrival ambassador, and they reached out and said we'd like to do an interview. So him and me are excited. We go into the interview and he just nails it. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe they'll call us back, right? She says, you know what? We'd like to offer you a job.
That's great.
And him and me just could not hold it in. And we got outside and him and me both started crying.
Wow.
It meant so much. I mean, if you could imagine someone in this position, cerebral palsy, never had a job, right? During COVID, was in the house 24/7. He's 32 years old. He would tell me every day, Jonathan, I want to start feeling like I'm a man. I want to be able to give back to my family. And so for him, this was one of the biggest moments in his life, and it's going to change the trajectory of his life forever. And so his mom is so happy because she's fairly old, and she says, Carolina, you're not. I'm not going to be here forever.
Mm.
I want you to be able to support yourself and be able to make something of yourself to be able to accomplish your dreams. And I think some of us sometimes we just want a chance,
Yeah.
just want an opportunity.
Yeah.
And thanks to SeaWorld, they gave him that opportunity. They gave him that chance to prove himself, to prove that he can do this. Not without us, just on him. He can go out and do it on his own, and I think we made that happen. So he officially, yeah, got hired by SeaWorld.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. And I'm guessing those connections and networking over time is going to play more crucial roles in what you do and how you can assist these families. Correct.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm a new company, and so for me, I'm building those fresh
Yeah.
relationships right now. And so right now, SeaWorld's a great one of them. The Goodwill's another great network that we're working with as a company that hires those with disabilities and really wants to help this community. And so I think about it all the time. I say, you know what, I need to nurture these relationships with these companies because Jared won't be the last, right? There's going to be so many clients after him that they're going to want a job, that are going to want an opportunity. And the stronger relationships that I have with these companies, the more opportunities I can provide for them.
Nice. And as a newer business owner, what does that look like for you from day to day on the more admin side and then trying to scale the business? What are your aspirations and goals as you're going along?
Yeah. So I think any entrepreneur can speak to this from the very beginning. You are doing everything on your own. I was doing everything and I had no idea what I was
Yeah.
doing. I mean, you're talking about using QuickBooks. I had no idea how to use QuickBooks and try to categorize for tax purposes, right? I never ran payroll, had no idea what payroll company to go with. How do I run payroll? How do I run payroll for the regional center for transportation? Uh, Everything you can think of, I was doing on my own marketing, social media, how to create a website. I developed on my
Yeah.
own by YouTube videos, shout out to YouTube because I was difficult, but I was
YouTube,
able,
you
right?
know, like that's where everyone starts to learn. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the day to day was every morning I was doing these administrative tasks, whatever I needed to do. And then I was out with the clients during the day. And then I would come back and continue those administrative things, whether that be, scanning receipts and categorizing them, or making sure that my numbers look correct, taking attendance, making sure everything was on point. I was, posting videos as often as
Yeah.
possible for social media, so I think we can kind of tell our story to the community out there. So the day to day was nonstop, and now that we're growing, it's even more nonstop.
Yeah. How is your father involved in the admin side?
Yeah. So right now, he's completely focused on what he's doing.
Okay.
He was more of like I said, he was more the motivation,
Okay.
the vision behind it. His goal when he retires, which is he's saying pretty soon, is to join. Because I think my dad brings a great aspect. He's worked with his population for 28
Yeah.
years. He's going to be able to bring things to the table, as far as being creative of
Yeah.
what we do, and how we create a program that's one of the best
Yeah.
in the country. And so, yeah, I would say probably in about the next couple of years he'll be joining on. Yeah.
Do you go to him for advice on how to essentially work with the population over time?
Yes, all the time. I'm always calling him,
Yeah.
"Hey, dad, I had this situation with a client. What would you do?" And he always would coach me up. Hey, this is what I would do. Or even just in the very beginning, hey, you need to be prepared for these situations,
Yeah.
right? Which a lot of times they helped me when I got into that situation. I would say, okay, I can do this,
Yeah.
right? And so whether it be behavior or grouping or transitions or things like that, all those things helped.
So he's essentially your mentor right now
Yeah.
in a,
Yeah, my
world.
mentor, my to be honest, I would tell him, "You're my hero, man,"
Yeah.
because my dad always had that entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
A teacher his whole life, but growing up, he'd always talk about ideas, right, and being your own boss, and he would kind of instill that in us at a young age, saying, "You know what? It's I think you have it in you to be your own boss and to truly make an impact in the way that you want to."
Yeah.
And so he always like we always spoke about it, and it wasn't till a year ago that we kind of made that leap to be one of the first in my family to say, I'm going to be my own boss and an entrepreneur and try to make an impact in the way I want to.
Did you think in a million years you'd be running a business
Never,
helping disability?
never, never did I ever think so. But it was crazy because right at once I stopped teaching, I was reading a lot of books.
Yeah.
And, I was watching podcasts
Yeah.
and hearing these stories, and I said, man, I think I'd love to do something like this. And then yeah, and I did it.
What would have been your ideal situation outside of this if you were when you were younger? What did you think you were gonna do?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I always thought I was gonna be in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. I played baseball, I played football, I played high school football, college football at Azusa Pacific University, and so the vision was like, yeah, I'm gonna play. My dad played at San Jose State, would
Yeah.
play with Stanford. His vision was always to play in the NFL, and so that initially that's what it was, and then it kind of changed, and then it became teaching. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna want to be an assistant principal or a principal. People would tell me that, and you're a great teacher. I mean, we got two best PE program in San Diego at two different high schools, and so I was blessed to have an opportunity to be surrounded by great teachers, and so I was learning from some of the best out there. And so I said, I want to take it to the next level and be an administrator and kind of create a school that I can bring out the best in this community. And then it kind of shifted again into to this point right here.
So let's just look at it from uh, a sports analogy aspect. If you were to look at yourself as a coach and what are your weaknesses right now? What's your strengths right now going into the business?
Yeah, great question. I think one of my strengths is building relationships with these clients. I mean, I learned very quickly and early that I was able to build relationships with them. I had an uncle that uh, was born disabled, and so I kind of understood this
Yeah.
population fairly well. And so I was able to build friendships with them through laughter, through activities. So I said, this is one of my strengths. I think I could work to that. And I think it's worked so far. As far as weaknesses, I think for me, it's just not knowing completely how to run
Yeah.
a company. Not complete. I'm learning every single day, and so I make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, I make mistakes every single day, and I think I had to learn that. I think most business owners they realize very soon that you're going to make mistakes. You're
Yeah.
going to fail. But what really matters is, are you going to get back up?
Yeah.
Are you going to keep pushing forward? And I have to remind myself to do that.
I think that's one of the hardest things for a lot of people that go into businesses, that they don't really understand that you're not gonna get it right the first time. I always say this, right? Like, most of the time, unless you're 1,000 businesses in, you're most likely gonna have failures and then have to figure out things that are out of your control. And I think when working with people, it makes it even harder, right? I don't
Mhm.
know if you find that true, that you're, because it's not just you selling a product or service anymore. You're dealing with emotion, relationships, and making sure that someone's happy on the other side.
Yep.
Because you hang up the phone, you're like, okay, the next time I see them, I got to see them again. I want to make them happier again. So it's putting yourself deeper into that emotional state. Are there moments where this business has overwhelmed you emotionally in either way? It could be like to a point where you're, like you said, you're crying, or to a point where you're just like, this business has just run me to the to the last like percentage of my being, and then I don't know what to do right now. Does
Oh
that
yeah.
happen?
Oh yeah. 100%. What's that saying? It says, "You ask for the rain, get prepared for the mud."
Yeah, yeah,
And I think I'm in that right now. I'm in the mud right now
yeah,
because the business is growing significantly, and I think I'm more overwhelmed than I've ever been because for me, getting great employees is so important to me.
right,
So now that we're getting to that point, I'm overwhelmed with figuring out, okay, how can I, as a leader of this company, how can I surround myself with an amazing team?
yeah,
Because truly, I mean, they're going to be the ones that are out there with my clients and truly making the impact. And so right now, I think, as speaking of being overwhelming, that's kind of the
yeah,
part. I mean, I've kind of got into the hang of the administrative aspect, the ins and outs. Now it's saying, how can I scale, but not too quickly?
yeah,
Like scale at a point to where I'm still providing the best possible services for these clients with disabilities. Because for me, being able to provide them the best that I can offer is key. I
yeah.
don't want to grow quickly. As long as I can provide them the best, that's what matters.
Yeah, and I think with your sports background, that's probably something that holds dear to your heart, right? So you want to be amazing at that, not just do it just to do it, because you don't get to play in college by just like being mediocre. You're like, I have to push myself all the time to be the best. So
Yeah.
and I find that too with kids into adults that have played sports, that there is this bit of a stressful burden on yourself, because you know that what it takes to push yourself to the limit, and you carry that over to business side. And I've seen people that have been former athletes that go into business, and they're just like harder on themselves. Do you feel like that's something that has transpired from the athlete side to the business side?
Oh yeah. My dad, even my coaches in college used to tell me, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah,
And so growing up, I took that into care, and I said, you know what? Yeah, 100%. And so, I was a big Kobe fan
yeah,
growing up too, and he had that Mamba
yeah, yeah,
mentality
yeah, yeah.
and being the best at everything. And so I took that to heart. And so I always tried. I This is something that I do, and I've heard other entrepreneurs do, is at the end of every day, they kind of journal and reflect on how they could become better, what mistakes that they made, and then how can they change those for the better the next day. And so that's something that I every single day I make sure I do, and I write, and I always reflect at the end of every week at those mistakes to make sure I don't make them again, and understanding that I am growing not only for my clients but as an individual as well.
Yeah, who or what has been some of your inspirations and mentors along this journey?
Yeah, so I would say I'm a big podcast guy. So just as far as mentality aspect, how an entrepreneur should think, Cody Sanchez, Rich Sommers is a San Diego guy that I follow a lot. Those are two big people that I have really kind of changed my mentality as understanding you're going to make mistakes. And initially too, when I was kind of getting into this area and started this company, I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. Should I take more time to research? And listening to Rich Sommers, he says, sometimes you just got to hop in. You got to go out and do it and learn as you go. And so I took that to heart. And I think it was probably the best decision that I've ever made because when you wait too long, inaction can cause problems. It can cause delay and for me, or cause fear and never have you make that jump. And so I had to do that. And I learned that from them for sure.
Yeah, I think with businesses, one of the hardest things is for people to just get into it, right? And then you have to learn along the way. And then I think I've even spoken to people who have gone to business school, come out, and they're like, "This is nothing like what I was taught," because there's all these variables, right? You're probably dealing with administration stuff, and then certain things with clients, and then you're like, "Oh, I want to go home and relax," and then you're like, "I forgot about this."
Yep.
And I have to do this. I have to do this, and it goes on, and before you know it, it's midnight.
Yep.
And you're like, "What?" And I'm supposed to be up at 6 a.m. What's going on?
100%.
When you're looking for employees and in the future for people to help you in admin side, what are some of the qualities you're looking for right now?
Yeah, and that's something I've been thinking about recently too, as we are growing. Some of the qualities that number one is they have to have a passion to work with this population. And sometimes not everyone does, and that's fine. But for me, I want to have someone that is really passionate about making a difference, someone that is creative, that's someone that's gonna be able to think outside the box and provide me ideas and come to me say, Jonathan, this is what I think we should do to take this program to the next level. Is key. And I think those are the two main qualities: is being creative and really truly loving this population. Because when you love something, you're willing to do anything for it, right? And so that's what I truly want in my clients. I mean, my employees.
And what are your next steps for your business?
Yeah. So right now, our company focuses on two things. One is that 100% community-based program where we pick them up, we take them out in the community. The second aspect is what we call tailor day services, and this is where we kind of individually, it's a one-on-one, and we assist them in getting their driver's license, helping them pass their permit, getting them a job. That's that second. And now, kind of the next step, which will be happening sometime this summer, is what I'm hoping to launch, which is going to be called Empower Social. And so, what we're looking for right now is a facility in Chula Vista. That's where I kind of want to I grew up in Chula Vista, and that's the community that I want to give back to. And so, a facility in Chula Vista where it's going to be kind of like a rec center. It's a game center. There's going to be TVs, board games, pool tables. It's going to be an opportunity for young adults with disabilities to come together, build friendships, and grow. Right, that's key. I mean, when you look at this community, and I talk to the parents all the time, one of the most important things for them is for them to build friendships, because a lot of times they're staying at home and parents don't want that. And so I want to be able to provide that opportunity for them. Also, when I'm looking at when I was kind of coming to this idea, a lot of programs are done by 2, 3 o'clock. There's nothing in the evening. And when you look as far as the weekends, not really at all. So I said, I'm going to be open in the evenings specifically and on the weekends to kind of fit that need for these families. And so that's the next step. And it's a lot because I have no idea. I'm searching right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm meeting with, I'm looking at, I'm emailing people, figuring out, hey, can I see the place, and what insurances do I need when I have a facility? These are all things that I'm learning as I go, but I have no doubt that it's going to be something that's going to come to happen. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Sounds like a great idea too. And if you were to give advice to person just getting into business or even into your field, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. I would say two things. One, and I know we kind of hear this all the time, but one of the key things for any entrepreneur, especially for myself, is to have grit, right? To be able to continue and to continue even with failure. It's so essential because we're gonna fail. But for me, it's being able to have that grit to keep going and being able to adapt as you kind of grow, which I think is essential. And then I think I heard Conor McGregor say this is like sometimes you have to be a little bit crazy. You have
Yeah.
to kind of be like, this is crazy what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but I'm gonna do it. And I think for them to say, you know what, just jump into it. Don't wait. Just do it. Learn as you go. You're gonna have people around you, because I did too, that say, you know what, are you sure you're gonna do this? Like, you're teaching, you're making good money. You have that retirement, you have benefits. Why would you wanna take this risk? So you're gonna have people outside, right? Family, friends, they're gonna kind of push you away from this idea. But I think if it's inside you, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So go with it.
Nice. And where can people find you and support your business?
Yeah. So the first is, I think, one is the regional center. Contact the regional center. They know Empower Pathways Adult Day Program. The second, you can find us on social media, empower_pathways on social media, and then empowerpathways.com. They can find us as well. All the details about what our program, what we offer, the impact that we are making, they can find us there.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan, for being on the podcast. This is the personal side of business. Till the next business.
Thank you.